Thank you for tuning back in. This one's a really different one, and I'm going to read it out because I really resonated to it. And it's an explanation of Hollow Earth by Diane Robbins. Not just our Earth, but all planets are hollow. Our sun, Helios, has a hollow core, as all suns do. The light emanating from our sun is cold, not hot. All planets are created with openings at the north and the south poles that lead to a hollow interior with the inner central sun, smoky in colour, which gives off soft and pleasant full spectrum sunlight, making the inside surface highly conducive to growth of vegetation and life, with only a long, long day and no nights. I'm into that big time. It's quite interesting because that's how I see when I go out there. It's just full on lights and none of these dark nights that we're experiencing now. The hollow earth beings are very spiritually evolved and technology advanced and live inside the interior core of our hollow earth. Those advanced civilizations live in peace and brotherhood in the center of our earth. There are oceans, land, and mountains are still in their pristine state because they don't walk or build upon their land. There are no shopping malls or highways. They travel in electromagnetic vehicles that levitate a few inches above ground. It is so interesting because that's all I see. And my husband's always said, oh, you need a car. And I said, no, you're not buying me a car. I know what car I'm waiting for. I know what car. And it ain't going on a road. So this was interesting when I read this. They walk softly along streams, rivers, and oceans and climb mountains, but that's the extent of their foot contact with the ground. They leave the rest of their land to nature because it's nature's land too. Now that's really interesting because another thing I've seen out there, that the way the building industry is going down is because the trees, we will not be using the trees for our builds. I see this so strongly because I hear the cry from a tree when it gets cut down. I actually get so upset myself. So I wondered how this all would fit in, but I really resonate to this because the trees are of our future. And yeah, that just was just perfect to me. Their cities are located inside the very center of the planet and can be accessed through the holes at either the north or the south poles. Again, I saw the other day, I saw two entrances in and out of the north-south pole. And I always wondered, what is it? Is that where I go? Is this the location that I'm fingers crossed, I've still got the photo that I saw out there. So I'll see if I can post that as well. The northern and the southern lights that we see in our skies are actually reflections from our hollow Earth's inner central sun, which emanates from her hollow core. The spaceport is located inside the hollow Earth in direct alignment with the openings at the north and south poles. They use free energy to light up their cities and homes and tunnels. They use crystals coupled with electromagnetic zoom, you know what I'm trying to say, which generates a small sun with full spectrum lighting that gives them all the power they need. The Earth crust is approximately 800 miles from the outer to the inner surface. Because our earth is hollow and not a solid sphere, the center of gravity is not in the center of the earth, but in the center of its crust, which is 400 miles below the surface. There are entry caverns all over the earth where interactions can take place. Only some are currently open. In the 1930s, the tunnel entrances and passageways were closed off by the hollow earth civilizations because, corporations at that time were misusing Tesla's technology to gain entrance into the inner earth. The hollow earth's two main portals are at the holes at the poles. They have been covering all force field over the polar openings to camouflage the entrances. This way, the openings are protected from air and land sightings. In the past, there were entrances to the library of the Porthologos on the surface. One such entrance was the library of Alexandria, which was destroyed by fire in AD 642. Would you believe there are 3.6 million people currently residing in the hollow earth compared to our height? We would consider them giants. That makes so much sense to me because I am really picking up on the giants. And you know, I've mentioned them quite a few times. I honestly believe I'm connecting. They know when I go down or go out there. And now that when I'm here, I'm resonating to them at certain times of a day, and they've been showing themselves, and I can feel them at many, I would say, would be resonating on the same frequency, but I feel it so deep in my soul. I know them, and the ones that do visit, I'm in awe. And the trees that I've got, I see them in the trees. I feel them. And I know I was given a message by my guides. I went to get some trees chopped because they looked a bit dangerous there. So the guidance came through and said, no, they replicate the giants. Leave them alone. Don't touch them. And you feel it. So yeah, there's so much more that's going to be revealed. Over the centuries, there have been some surface humans who have been invited to live inside. So I'm going to put up the diagram of the inner earth, and so you can have a look at. And it's really quite spectacular. One of the comments that resonated as well. In her 30s, the 19th century tunnel entrances and crossings were closed by empty earth civilizations because corporations at the time abused Tesla's technology to access inner earth. The two main portals of empty earth can be found on the holes of the poles, which is really, really powerful. So now shifting from there, because I wanted to share that with you for you to be aware that there are more to it. And yeah, let's see if anyone else is starting to pick up on this as well. From your Creator, for your reawakening and restoration of your divinity has been heard throughout this entire universe and beyond. So open your heart to the light within is when you lift yourself to the knowing and you can see to help you see. The attitude to gratitude will now speed you on your way with much grace. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, I wanted to share this part with you as well. And it was pretty profound for me. I was doing a reading 1.5 hours from Wellington to someone way down south, when I realized she was in full light with the sun setting, and yet I was in the pitch black while I was doing the reading on Zoom, and it came to me. So when I realized she was in full light and it was pitch black outside for me, I recorded the difference, and we both were so blown away. So I went outside and I said to her, I'm just going to make a separate recording of this. And so it showed it so bright down there, and you couldn't even see me. I actually had to stand under a street lamp just to for her to see me. It was so dark. Well, guess what? That recording has now been taken off my phone, so I haven't been able to share with you. So I connected with woman from the top of the North Island to the middle of Wellington to the bottom of the South Island. And I wanted to share with you some pictures that I have found fascinating. To all of our amazement, we were all experiencing a different night sky and different colours. This was straight after the red moon. And we did this for a week each night. We took photos at 9 and one at 9:30 at night. Within 2 days of doing so, we had no moon in any of the locations. It was nearly 2 weeks. I can't be exact because there were many storms that we experienced. So it was harder to see if there was, but it was only a couple of nights. So we couldn't see. We all found it intriguing as where did the moon go for so long and why? Because realistically, we're only really from Wellington, I was only an hour flight away from going north to going down south. Yet, if the moon is that high up above us, we realistically should be seeing the moon, or one of us should have been seeing the moon. But instead, we saw different night skies. And what was really interesting is that the further away, so further up in Auckland, and right down in our other island, the South Island, right down the bottom, they both were experiencing the same colours. And whereas in the centre, it was pitch black. How does that work out? I really want you to start thinking about this. So good old Wellington, the bottom of the North Island, was always pitch black. So when the moon did come back from its holiday, it was a quarter moon. But it was as though it had lost the tips of the quarter moons, the tips of it, top and bottom, really didn't show where normally they show. But that was the first night that it came back after a couple of weeks. I had a friend that gave me scientific suggestions, but I just couldn't resonate to it because intuitively it didn't feel right. So there's more going on. So what's going on? More to the point, I also learnt we did not always have a moon in the sky. Why? It is said, though was fear since the time of the sun and before the time of the moon. There you go, before the time of the moon. Before the time of the moon. A generation of generations. It lives in an oral traditional amongst Indians of the Bogota, highlands of Colombia, and they have mentioned the time before there was a moon. So I'm just, you know, don't quote me, but please go and do your research on this. It's fascinating. There's so much about it. But don't go on Google. You will not find it. It is out there. And I didn't want to dig deep because in my heart of heart, I know there's more to it. Something's going on. And from there, what I noticed is that I looked out the night sky the other night, and what was fascinating, I was looking up at the moon and in all its glory, but it was like, you really have changed up. You look different. And then beside it, there were some stars and a few sort of speckled around. But when I looked to the other side, it was like, where'd the stars go? Someone forgot to put the stars up. So this is happening here in Wellington. Start having a look, join in with some friends and see what you can see out there, because it's totally different. Things are really changing up. And yeah, I found it fascinating. So go out there and have a look. But yeah, start looking about the inner earth. I found that fascinating, but it explains to me in my heart of all hearts, there is something beneath us that is showing us what our lives could be. And what we're experiencing out here, it is pure inside. So is that why we've been asked to go inside? Because there is a bigger meaning to it as well. So I'm going to leave this with you, and I have a blessed day and have a fabulous week. And till next time, I love you, and like and share if this resonated with you.